So we went through what is the trait of entrepreneurship or mindset, and what that did to the society briefly. Let's go into a little bit deeper into it. What is the definition of entrepreneurship? I mentioned to you that many people understand that entrepreneurship is starting a new company, making a small business, coffee shop. That is part of entrepreneurship, but it's a small, narrow sense, because entrepreneurship is a creative thinking, all those kind of different traits that I mentioned to you in many different ways, and that permeates with one individual's character. So if you define just a narrow definition, we are missing the whole point. So there's a broad sense, and broad sense already, as you have guessed, it's a mindset, it's a lifestyle, the desirable trait of lifestyle which everybody will gain to make their life better, and furthermore to contribute for society. So let's talk about those things a little bit more so that we can harness that for development of economy. What is the trait of the productive entrepreneurship mindset? First, it's a mindset that would create something from nothing, or something out of nothing. In other words, we do not have anything. Well, a lot of people say, I don't have anything and I cannot do anything. Well, if you think that you don't have anything, then you don't really have anything, because that's how you believe. And also, if you think that you cannot do anything, then certainly you cannot do anything, because it is you who has to do something, right? So entrepreneurship mindset is you refuse to accept that, because there's things around you that you can take advantage of it, or there's always a way that you can use your brain to create something out of nothing under given condition. Of course, if you have better condition, you can create more, but that doesn't mean that there isn't absolutely nothing you can do about it. At least you can have something, and then whatever you do is just pure gain, because if you don't do anything, you are leaving your life to someone else. So it recognizes opportunities where others see chaos and confusion. When IMF comes and everybody's all freezing, and some war broke out in some part of the world, and all business is frozen, and you don't have anything to do, and then you get worried. However, also entrepreneurs look at that is a time that one can see opportunities. Not opportunities alone just to get yourself rich, but do something to help society. When emergency comes and chaotic situation happens, that's the time when everybody can do something for society, not only helping themselves. So you recognize opportunities. If someone wants to have a business opportunity, certainly everything is quiet and calm and steady. Probably opportunity will not exist that much. However, if something is unsettled and reshuffled and restructured, then obviously there is a time that one can find opportunities. And then if you look at all the successful businesses, including those big successful companies now, they all look at unsettled times of that particular industry they are in. Not necessarily all chaotic war or something, but each time a new technology comes, it destroys a lot of other traditional way of doing things, and that's the chaos and confusion. Another way of saying it is that challenge is unknown and continuously create future. What does that mean? I guess there are some people who are very, very insecure and feel uncomfortable if things are not known. I don't know what's happening tomorrow, so I will be freezing. And there are certain class of people. On the other hand, one also look at that, oh, I don't know what tomorrow will bring. So I will do my best, and then I'm curious as to what future will be. Challenge is unknown, and continuously create futures, because unknown means that you also have infinite possibilities. It is almost like a blank piece of paper with a pencil, and whatever you draw will be the future. Those traits were the ones who created new markets and new possibilities. And that, in other words, catalyst. Catalyst is something that makes it happen. When one wants to make ammonia, ammonia is 4 parts of hydrogen, 1 part of nitrogen. And in the air we have plenty of nitrogen, part of hydrogen, and ammonia is not formed. How come? Well, you have to have a certain condition, such as high pressure and high temperature, and then you mix the right ratio, but still ammonia is not formed. And chemists a long time ago found out that if you put a catalyst, in this case like platinum, growing hot platinum will make that thing going. It's called the catalyst. Entrepreneurs have such a role. So entrepreneurship certainly is an attitude and a lifestyle, not just making small companies. And that characteristic can be termed as proactive, very pragmatic, and looking for an opportunity, not just accepting impossibility. There are many successful businessmen, for example. Their business is almost about to go down the drain, and that the owner of the business does not stop and does not accept failure, impossibility, and find ways to make the business successful. Same is true with politics, and same is true with invention, same is true with all other sector of our business. An entrepreneur's role is not accepting impossibility, and then look for constantly opportunity. So there are those kind of people, and a lot of times by doing that, you become your own boss. You become your own boss. Not necessarily always corporate CEO, of course that includes that, but when it comes to your job, you are the boss. You do not accept impossibility and make new opportunities. And that is the very desirable trait. And that's the factor that made the developed countries the way they are. Why some countries are poor chronically and other countries are always ahead and leading this world? Other things have some effect, but one conclusive factor that is common for all those the development is the factor we were talking about today, entrepreneurship mindset. It is also like a Christian spirit, giving others than taking. What do you give? Give an opportunity. Make new jobs and give them, or you invent new things which will benefit everybody. You invent vaccine that will help save thousands and thousands of lives. And those are the kind of trait that made our life better. Well, the focusing on economy, most of the textbooks tells you that the factors needed for commerce, in other words, start of a new business. There are 3 things necessary: natural resources. You need the natural resources to manufacture from. You need the metals. You need the wood. You need petroleum to make certain chemical things, natural resources. And also you need capital, because you need the money, initial investment, to make things you need from the raw material, and you need an investment. And you spend that capital so that people can make it work, because a company is really nothing by itself. The human being operates it. So human resource along with capital can convert natural resources, and the three things are necessary. However, is it really? Because if you look at poor countries as well as advanced countries, by and large you can find all three. In this globalized economy, if you don't have certain natural resources, you can always get from other country, because there isn't any country who is completely self-sufficient and they don't need anything from other countries. There's no such place. So by and large, every country, including very, very poor countries, they have natural resources and capital. There are very wealthy individuals in developing countries, and also there are plenty of people who are willing to work there in developing countries. Then how come some countries are advanced and other countries are not advanced? Well, that's because we need one more thing that textbook doesn't say, and that is the catalyst. Like the example of ammonia, the hydrogen and nitrogen, plentiful of that in the air, but ammonia is not formed. By the way, if ammonia were formed by itself, probably human being would not be here, and God made that way, luckily. But we need one more, and that is catalyst. What is the catalyst? That is what we call entrepreneurship. In other words, that is a trigger. It's a trigger. If you have explosive like plastic C4 explosive that military uses, if you burn it, it just slowly burns like a paper. In order to detonate it, you need a trigger. You need a detonator. Likewise, if you have all three factors, your natural resources, capital, and human resources, nothing happens by itself. There is someone who will make it happen as a trigger, and that is what you call entrepreneur. However, I told you a while ago that entrepreneurs cannot do entrepreneurship, cannot use the entrepreneurship. They need a certain amount of freedom, and then that is environment. The freedom, 4 freedoms mentioned, there are a lot of countries which does not have it and show that they are crushed. It's the government's job to make that freedom happens so that people can do entrepreneurial work. A lot of times, with the eager to help the government being eager to help economy, they try to teach entrepreneurship only to fail, because that should be left to the individual. Their job is just to make sure that the environment is conducive for entrepreneurship. So narrow sense of entrepreneurship, a lot of people talking about making a company, do a venture business or make jobs. Well, that's a noble kind of thing, but not many jobs, because most of those, they are just small business are subsistence business. They are forced to do the business to survive. As such, they may provide jobs for their family, and that they survive. That's noble itself, but really it doesn't do much to create jobs or sometimes even new benefits. But some of those small companies don't stay small. They grow fast, like 20-50% a year, and then eventually they become big and keep on grabbing new opportunities, and that is really entrepreneurial company, and that's done by entrepreneurs. If you look at Apple's and Microsoft and all that, they used to be small companies. they could have stayed as small, and those founders would have had a good life, and that's where they could have been satisfied. And there are many, many people like that. But few of those really grow big, and that is due to the mindset. It's a broad definition we are searching here. It's a lifestyle. I want you all become real entrepreneurs with this mindset. And then that mindset is not knowledge, because it's a mindset. One can learn, as you did here, what is the definition of narrow and broad sense? Well, narrow sense is making job or making job for themselves. A broad sense is a mindset. How do you learn mindset? Well, you cannot learn mindset because you have to change it. How do you change? Well, everybody has different way of changing. One common way, the psychiatrists say, is a significant experience. What does entrepreneurs do? In few important things. Well, entrepreneurs, in terms of business, they enter existing market and make it expanded. When the cellular phone terminal, our phone set became just a regular phone in a saturated market, well, someone else, such as Apple, came and changed the whole thing by introducing iPhone, expanded an existing market and entirely opened up new door. That's a good example of it. Another one is like creating entirely new market by offering innovative product. Of course, the example of iPhone is actually both of them. It expanded the existing phone market, but then it introduced a new architecture which can open up all new business such as apps. And a lot of new proposals students make at Handong Global University is an app application. So that created new industry. So keep on doing it and increasing diversity and fostering new area, and a lot of those new areas offer an opportunity for minorities, women, and black and Asians like myself, and in the some countries those are minorities, and that they make their own business, and they make their own opportunity, and they become very successful. Very important aspect of it for social development. And also by doing that, it facilitates such kind of thing, facilitates the churn of existing companies. The big companies, once they are very comfortable with existing business, it's very hard to change. When you are very successful, the last thing that anybody would do is you stop doing it and coming with a new product. On the other hand, when a new product comes, there has to be new mindset, to that, and that is very difficult for big companies to do. So a lot of small companies made by entrepreneurs, they are the factor that forces the big companies will look at and make it competitive. Well, it's just an example. Let's look at the U.S. market. This is somewhat dated data here. By and large, people say that, well, there are about 600,000 new businesses created every year. And there are existing about 25 million businesses, and the number continues to grow about 2% a year. Like I said, depending on whether the economy is doing well or not, that 2% could be modulated up and down, and then if it doesn't increase at all, we get into recession. And then also U.S. firms have more than $20 trillion in annual revenue. So if there's a little bit of the glitch there, the firm's profit, $20 million, can be modulated up and down a lot. What I'm trying to see here is that 22% growth a year. That 2% of 25 million is about 500,000 new companies grow. Of course, 600,000 new companies are generated, and how come it still grows 2%? About 100,000 companies die every year, and not necessarily the new companies created, but by and large. In other words, this entrepreneurial activity really nourishes the country, and that's one of the strengths of the U.S. and the capitalist society, and that requires that four freedoms I mentioned to you. Small businesses, actually the power of economy in a developed country such as the U.S., not only in the big companies hiring thousands and tens of thousands employees, but the small company, 10 people company, 15 people company, 50% of businesses employ fewer than 5 people, and they are the contributor, they are the innovator. They do not stay that way, keep on growing and gradually replace the big company. Churns. Almost 90% of firms employ fewer than 20 people. That's a staggering amount. In other words, we can see where the strength of a country comes. Not necessarily a big company hiring tens of thousands of people, that's necessary too, but the small company who are creating, constantly nourishing the industry. A lot of times those small companies are bought by big companies and nourish big companies. If a big company fails, they are there to replace them quickly, as in a forest where the big tree falls and then quickly the small saplings growing and quickly replace. They are the ones who makes a country strong. Let's look at technology a little bit. Past century, people have been using lighthouse. Why do you call lighthouse? When I was small, I was wondering why called lighthouse. I can understand light to help ship navigate, but lighthouse. And then I realized when I was studying in the U.S. that, well, that was all before the invention of electricity. People need to be there to maintain the and then have that lighthouse lit up, and it's a 3 shifts 24 hours job. I do not have time to go through all, but if you look at modern lighthouse like that, very unceremonial, you don't see any house there, and it's just a small light that does all the 3 people's job, 3 families' job. What happened? Why the invention of certain things changed that? What invention made it? And then if you look at carefully, see, I'm an electrical engineer. I proudly say that, well, invention of electricity. We'll just come back to look at that a little bit more and on how the entrepreneurs are working off a certain invention, and we will visit that.